Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack your sources to get straight to the most important knowledge, really cutting through the noise. Today, we're doing just that by diving deep into the world of second-year quarterbacks, specifically taking a fresh look at Caleb Williams. We're stepping back from all the rookie season hype and, frankly, the criticism to truly gain some perspective. So our mission for this deep dive is to analyze what Caleb Williams' rookie season was actually like. We're going back, looking at the performance with, hopefully, a clear lens. Then we'll pivot. We'll look forward to what some, reasonable expectations might be for him heading into year two. We've got a fantastic stack of articles, film breakdowns, analytics, lots to explore that really contextualizes his unique situation.
Yeah, it's always challenging, isn't it? Trying to truly evaluate a quarterback's rookie year.
Yeah.
And that's maybe especially true when the circumstances are as difficult as they clearly were for Caleb Williams. So we're going to explore how much of his performance was, really due to that tough situation he was in versus his own development, his own decision-making on the field. It's kind of that classic chicken or egg thing we're trying to untangle for you.
Okay, let's unpack this right from the start then. What was the actual, functional situation like for Caleb Williams in his rookie season? From everything we've gathered, it sounds like he was dropped into a pretty tough spot.
You're absolutely right, yeah. From our sources, he was playing in arguably the worst situation among all the rookie quarterbacks that year. Structurally, the offense in Chicago was, well, let's be blunt, it was never really set up to help him succeed. And what we saw was a really significant shift from his college play. In college, he was that unbelievable backyard player, the guy who could extend plays, run around, make something out of absolute nothing, all on his terms. But in the NFL, it seemed like he tried to win mostly from the pocket, maybe rushing through his reads sometimes, or the opposite, anchoring himself too long in there. And this just led to a lot of inconsistency. What was maybe most striking when you look at the film was how he seemed to play with almost, zero confidence. That's a quote from one source, which is such a stark contrast to his college self.
Right, a complete opposite.
Yeah, and it reminded us so much of situations we've seen before, like Jared Goff's rookie year with the Rams. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Painful.
Or Trevor Lawrence's first year with the Jaguars, where a player just seemed totally overwhelmed, or as our sources put it, seemed to just drown in everything happening around them.
That's fascinating because the physical talent, it's undeniable. It's clearly there. So even with those struggles and that feeling of, being overwhelmed, did you still see some really good moments, like specific plays where his process looked good, maybe even in a tough game, like, say, the second Lions game?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the flashes were there, no doubt. We saw moments of genuinely good fundamentals, like working efficiently through a flat progression, reading receivers across the field in order, or a great pocket movement followed by a decisive, rip throw to Keenan Allen. That was a beauty. But you hit on the core issue, that overarching confidence problem, and maybe a lack of clear coaching guidance. It meant he never really seemed confident in what his plan B was supposed to be on a given play. And that clarity, knowing your outlets, your next steps, that's something other rookies like Drake May or Jaden Daniels seem to have more readily. And it's just absolutely crucial for a young quarterback. You need that clear communication. So yeah, it's incredibly difficult to untangle what was truly on Caleb Williams himself and what was purely down to his situation.
Let's look at some specific examples from the data, maybe, that might help illustrate this.
Yeah, let's do that. Numbers can sometimes cut through the noise.
Okay, take sacks, for instance. He took 8 extended sacks. That means he held the ball for, roughly 5 seconds or more? And those are generally considered, on the quarterback, holding it too long.
Right, you got to get rid of it.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really interesting. He also led the league in unblocked sacks and unblocked pressures.
Wow, led the league.
Yeah. These are situations where a defender got to him without facing any blocker at all, which points directly to issues with the offensive scheme or the offensive line or both. It's hard to make a play when someone's in your face instantly like that. So he was getting hammered, partly by his own doing sometimes, holding it too long, but also just completely hung out to dry by the system. That's a really tough environment to learn in. Can you give us a concrete example of that kind of push and pull from the film?
Yeah, absolutely. Consider a two-play sequence from the Packers game. Really highlights this. On one play, he clearly turned down an open receiver, DJ Moore, on a crossing route. Okay, that's on him. Missed the read.
Okay, quarterback error.
Yeah. But then, the very next play, despite having 6 blockers against just 5 rushers from the Packers, the protection just broke down almost immediately. A free rusher comes screaming in. Leads to a sack that was completely, utterly beyond his control. You see, it's a visual of the whole dilemma right there.
Wow, back-to-back plays like that.
Exactly. And this creates what we sometimes call a slippery slope effect. When a quarterback feels like they're constantly under pressure, even on plays where the protection should hold up, their internal clock speeds up. Their decision-making can suffer, their mechanics can get rushed, and their performance can just spiral downward.
Yeah, you see them get skittish.
Precisely. We've seen this with other players, like Derek Carr maybe comes to mind, where that constant pressure starts impacting even the clean plays.
That slippery slope effect you mentioned, where the external pressure really changes a player's whole approach.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating. It just highlights how much of this game is mental, doesn't it?
Totally.
Okay, so beyond sacks, what about his passing efficiency? How did the numbers tell the story there?
Well, his overall numbers were, frankly, pretty abysmal. Yeah. When we look at the advanced metrics, like EPA per dropback, which, roughly tells you how many points he added or lost his team per pass play.
Right.
And success rate, which measures how often a play gained enough yardage to kind of stay on schedule.
Yeah.
Caleb ranked 31st out of 36 qualified quarterbacks in EPA per dropback and 35th in success rate.
Oof. Bottom of the barrel, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It tells you his passing just often wasn't creating positive value for the offense. And even those numbers were often propped up by like efficient catch and run plays or quick screens, which are generally easier completions.
Okay, so the easy stuff helped a bit. What about when he had to make real throws?
Right. On throws, traveling beyond 5 yards downfield, taking out those pesky sacks.
Yeah.
He was among the worst. He had a lower EPA per dropback than only Cooper Rush, Gardner Minshew, Daniel Jones, and Anthony Richardson.
Not exactly elite company there for efficiency.
Not at all. And he completed only 51% of these crucial throws. Only Rush and Anthony Richardson had a lower completion percentage on those attempts. So that's a really clear indication of struggle on meaningful downfield throws. And his deep passing, particularly in the first half of the season, it was staggeringly poor, like almost unprecedentedly so. Our sources describe them as often looking like prayers. Just chucking it up there.
Wow, prayers.
Now, it did improve a bit in the back half of the season. It went from, say, historically dreadful to, well, still among the worst in the league, maybe just by a smaller margin.
Okay, so marginal improvement on the deep ball.
Right, but still a major concern. And interestingly, the team actually asked him to throw downfield more than almost anyone, despite him clearly struggling with it, which is a choice.
That seems counterintuitive.
Yeah. And another observation from the film reviews was that he seemed to do things too fast. It made him look jumpy, leading to hurried decisions and, missed throws. There's that classic coaching quote, be quick, don't hurry.
Right, control the urgency.
Exactly. And Caleb Williams seemed to almost always be in a hurry. He missed that crucial balance between quick processing and calm execution.
Okay, so on one hand, we've got these really significant issues laid out. Confidence, scheme fit, efficiency numbers are bad, deep ball struggles, maybe rushing things. But I mean, you don't get drafted #1 overall without doing some things exceptionally well. What were the best things we did see from Caleb Williams as a rookie? Those flashes that still give people and probably the Bears hope.
Yeah, and this is where the hope really does shine through. Because when he allowed himself to play like USC Caleb Williams, meaning when he kind of reverted to his instinctive creative style, getting outside the pocket, making those incredible off-platform skyhook throws, scrambling, it was genuinely awesome to watch. He became incredibly decisive in those moments. You saw that elite talent just burst out.
So the improvisation was still there.
Absolutely. And here's something that was surprisingly good, especially for a rookie under that much duress. His pocket management mechanics were actually quite impressive. He showed the ability to slide, to shuffle, step up, sense the pressure, all while protecting the ball well. Now, this is pretty rare for a quarterback who gets sacked as much as he did.
Yeah, usually guys like that get happy feet or look panicked.
Exactly. You saw maybe similar traits in a younger Joe Burrow, who also took a lot of sacks early but had that feel. It's unlike, say, a player like Will Levis, whose pocket movement, frankly, can be kind of horrendous at times. So this awareness, this natural feel for navigating the pocket, it provides a real glimmer of hope for his development.
That spatial awareness in the pocket, yeah, that is such a high-level trait that's encouraging. What about specific types of throws that seem to click for him more often, even amidst all the chaos?
Yeah, his best throws often came on those intermediate vertical routes where he could just stand and, let it rip.
Yeah.
That powerful, decisive throw with impressive velocity, Think of concepts like the dagger hits, where a receiver runs a quick in-breaking route into the middle, splitting defenders, or those sharp seam ball rips right at the middle of the field.
Okay, driving the ball.
Exactly. He was actually very accurate on those types of plays, especially during what was probably his best two-game stretch against the Packers and Vikings. He also really shined in two-minute drills late in games. Maybe it was the looseness in his play then. Maybe the defense simplifies. Maybe the pressure feels different. Whatever it was, it allowed his pure physical talent to really show through.
Interesting. So the talent clearly flashes, especially in certain situations or on certain throws.
Definitely. Now, let's talk about maybe the biggest reason for optimism heading into year two. And that's the change in situation. He's moving from what was, as we've established, arguably one of the worst environments for quarterback development to Ben Johnson's offense. And this is a truly dramatic shift. It really can't be overstated.
Ben Johnson, yeah. Huge reputation coming from Detroit.
Exactly. He's renowned for creating one of the absolute best situations for quarterbacks in the league. We saw it vividly with Jared Goff's resurgence, right?
Right. Goff looked like a different player.
Totally. And the hope, maybe even the expectation, is that the conversations Johnson has with Caleb, articulating what the plan is for every single play, and crucially, where your outlets are, basically, giving him clear, simple answers to complex defensive problems that will instill the confidence that was so clearly missing last year. This isn't just getting a new coach. It feels like a rare, genuinely drastic improvement in situation for young quarterback.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen often like this.
That's a strong claim, a rare, drastic improvement. Okay. We've covered the challenges, some promising flashes, and now this major coaching upgrade. So does that mean the talent combined with this coaching change, it makes you optimistic about a significant jump? I mean, how significant can that jump truly be for a player who struggled so much with consistency, even if the situation was bad?
That's the million-dollar question, right? But yes, I am optimistic because while a Jared Goff revival is rare, like we said, the kind of massive situation improvement Caleb is experiencing is also incredibly rare.
Okay, fair point.
So when you have a quarterback who was, by all accounts, clearly drowning under adverse circumstances,
Right.
and you then give him the support system of a top offensive line like Ben Johnson, plus you expect improvements to the offensive line, maybe the receiving core too, you can make a really strong case for tangible, significant growth. It's not just wishful thinking. Honestly, I'd be genuinely shocked if he's anything worse than, say, like current Kyler Murray level next year.
Okay, so around that QB 13, back half of the top 10 range, that's a big jump.
It is, but I think it's reasonable. Caleb Williams is simply too talented, in my view, for this not to work out to some level of high-end productivity, especially with the right coaching to consistently bring out those high-end flashes we know are in there. It's all about providing the structure, the framework for that natural talent to consistently emerge, not just appear randomly.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, our listener, as you watch Caleb Williams' career unfold this season? We've seen his rookie season was, a complex mix, wasn't it? Overwhelming external challenges, internal struggles with confidence, but also those undeniable flashes of elite talent and that impressive pocket awareness we talked about.
Yeah, I think the key takeaway here is the dramatic shift in his environment. The context is changing massively. Like we've been saying, rarely do we see such a significant upgrade in coaching and offensive philosophy from year one to year two for a top pick. This isn't just about getting a new coach. It's a genuine opportunity for a complete reset of confidence and clarity in his game. It's about building a better, maybe simpler, mental framework around that immense physical ability he possesses.
So what stands out most to you from this deep dive as we finish up? We've talked stats, film, the human side with confidence. What's the big picture?
Well, I think this whole situation, it raises a really important, maybe broader question for you to mull over as you follow his journey this year, and maybe other young QBs too. Can a truly talented player, even one who clearly loses confidence and struggles mightily with inconsistent play, can they be fundamentally fixed, quote unquote, by an elite coaching change alone? Or are some struggles, maybe some bad habits or confidence issues, too ingrained for even the best environment to completely overcome? It's fascinating to think about.
That's a great question. How much is nurture versus nature, even at this level? Something to definitely think about as you watch Caleb Williams enter his second year. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.